All right, a very good evening to you. Welcome to News Night here with me, Annie Fwampofo, live from the Akua Boahima studio at North Ridge. Join us on Metro TV Ghana, on Facebook. Also join us on Twitter and Instagram. It's Metro TV _GH. Let's take a look at the headlines of stories coming up shortly. Office of the Special Prosecutor commences probe into acquisition of state lands capture at Sir John's will. Meanwhile, Minister of Lands and Natural Resources also requests for more information. Walls of governing New Patriotic Party deepens as the party postpones the Central Regional Executive election following the Cape Coast injunction barely 48 hours to their elections. We'll take you there for some details. Speaker of Parliament, also Aban Babin, directs Minister of Finance Ken Ofori-Atta to, without delay, appear before the House to give detailed account of COVID-19 expenditure. And on the international front, 11 newborn babies die in a fire at the maternity unit of hospital in the western city of Touraine in Senegal. Now, first story is barely 24 hours to the commencement of the NPP regional delegate elections, and it's already it's heated contest. Now, in the central region, the Cape Coast High Court has granted an injunction to postpone the central regional elections of the NPP. So this was after some aggrieved members of the party accused the regional chairman of attempting to evade due process in the conduct of the polls there. Deputy Constituency Secretary for the Kumfi, Ebenezer Spiel, on the person who filed the injunction, says the postponement of the elections will positively affect the fortunes of the party in the constituency.
A single person can just say on his own that I will not allow you, the whole constituency, to be part of the process. So the court has granted our injunction, and at the moment they have issued an official statement saying that the election which is to be held tomorrow will not come on until the election in the Kumfi constituency is held on the election committee to give us a date. And we believe they are going to give us appropriate enough time for us to campaign. Because all along we were running to the party headquarters, to court, and everywhere. We didn't have time to campaign. In fact, we are so magnanimous that if they tell us to go for the election tomorrow, we are ready to go for the election. After all, we know what the work we have done on the grounds. My brother, we have gone through the vetting. We have campaigned. We have spent resources to campaign. So we are ready for the election, only to be told that they are not going to allow us to hold the election. So now the process should continue. They should give us the opportunity to do what we wanted to do, to cast our votes, to elect people to represent the MPP in the constituency. And I believe that is what the democracy states. So we are happy. Honestly, we are very happy the court has granted us the opportunity. And we believe that the wheels of justice grind slowly. You will get your justice if you wait.
Now we're joined via phone by the NPP Regional Chairman for the Central Region, Robert Kutin Jr. for more on this. Robert, thank you for joining us here on News Night. So what can you tell us about, the injunction? Have you indeed received the court's injunction?
No, I haven't received any court injunction.
You haven't received the notice?
No.
Did the bailiffs appear in the constituency? Did you see the court's bailiff anywhere around the constituency?
No. You only got to know about it from the EC.
So, what have you captured in the statement you issued?
What have I?
Captured in the statement you issued, what did you capture?
We capture it based on the information that we received from the EC, Electoral Commission.
From the Electoral Commission, that the election has been postponed?
That they have received a rate indicating that there is going to be an injunction on the election.
What exactly did the Electoral Commission say before you gave the notice in your release?
That there is an interrogatory injunction on the election.
I can't get you, sir. Can you repeat it and raise your voice a bit? What did you say, please?
We received a notice from the Electoral Commission that there is an interrogatory injunction on the election that we were to do it tomorrow.
So what followed that notification being given by the EC? What did they say they would do afterwards? Will they give you a later date on when we can run the elections in the region?
No. It means that we are to go to court on Tuesday.
Right.
Yeah. So thereafter, it will depend on the decision of the court. So that the next line of action.
What are some of the grievances and what's making it difficult for you to solve those problems in the constituency, to be precise?
This difficult for us to decide.
What is making it problematic for the elections at the constituency level to run?
During the filing of the nomination and the vetting of the candidate, a candidate was disqualified. And he was to appear before the appeal committee, and he did appear on the appeals committee. And when he appeared before the appeal committee, they asked him to do certain things before they can clear him. Yeah, which he hasn't done.
Okay, and that's what's holding the constituency?
Yeah.
All right. Well, since we have an interlocutory injunction, we'll leave it there. We'll see how you go through that. So tomorrow there will not be no election in the central region as far as the regional, the NPP regional election is concerned. Let's cross over to the Ashanti region where Abdul Basit is also there. That is a heated constituency in terms of the chairmanship for that region. Abdul, thank you for your time. Good evening to you. Hello, Abdul.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so well, I spoke with you in the afternoon. What updates can you give me this evening? What's going on with the Ashanti region? I'm so sure that people are not sleeping, until this election comes off. What's going on?
Yeah, the election which was supposed to come on tomorrow has been scheduled to Saturday. Just this evening, as I speak with you, we are at the residency of the Ashanti Regional Coordinating Council, where the election chairman committee met with some of the aspirants to elaborate on the needs of what inspired at the national level to them. There was an issue of register. And as I speak with you now, they've received about 44 register from 44 constituency, with the exception of Swami, Ifija East, and Mahon. And they validated all the register together with the aspirants to ensure that there is accuracy in the album comparing to what the constituency are having. They've tallied most of the register that came, they've worked on are tallied. And we are Mampon and Swami. As for Mampon, there is a court issue on their constituency election, so they were not able to even hold their constituency election. So
how many
met with
Abdul, in the Ashanti region, how many constituencies are having issues with the elections now? Is it just Mampong?
It's 3 now. Out of the 47 constituency, the election committee have cleared 44 that would be given the opportunity to contest. But with Swami, they were having issues with their electoral album, so they will not be participating with the election unless maybe by tomorrow something different happen. And with Mampong, the issue is at court, and there is an injunction on it, so the Mampong constituency will not be able to partake in Saturday's election. And if you just check the East too, there is an issue over there. So their album is not even ready, and they will not be part of the election, God willing, Saturday. So out of the 47 constituency, 44, I can say for now, are ready to partake in Saturday's election, which will be held at the Baba Yara Sports Stadium. Earlier on, the former Ashanti Regional NDC chairman sealed the Ashanti Regional Elections Committee and the MPP party seeking for injunction not to allow them to hold the elections at the residency. But unfortunately, or if I should say, fortunately for the party, they've been able to reschedule the election from the RCC to Baba Yara Sports Stadium. And even as per the seat, they have only 10 days to respond, which would be after the election. It will not be meaningful as at now that we are speaking. And one other issue that came out was with Drabin constituency. If you remember the famous MC who is now currently the embattled MC who is now with a special prosecutor, and as the result of paying bribe to assemblymen. You know, he contested for regional chairman and he won. But as I speak with you now, a group has petitioned the court, and an injunction has been granted to them that some of the executives should not hold themselves as an executive and will not be able to partake in election on Saturday, as I speak with you now, including the chairman, Safo Kantanka. He will not be able to partake per the petition that the court has granted.
I see. Abdul, follow through because we'll get back to you for some more details of what we know, at least for now. All documents that aspirants were asking for, they have it, right?
Come again, Annie.
I'm asking that, has it been clear that all the documents aspirants were asking for, like the register and others, they have it now?
Yeah, they have it now. As I speak with you, it's right here at the Regional Coordinating Council, where not all the 44 that has been clear. The register is here. They were able to validate them, compare it with those within the constituency to ensure that it is accurate. So they've done that, even though they will continue the rest tomorrow to ensure that everything is in order.
All right. Abdul Basir, thank you for your time. And that is from the Ashanti region. Now let's move on to other regions. The leadership of the NPP in the Volta region are contemplating changing the venue of its executives elections due to the security reasons. So the Volta regional NPP chairman, Kujo Atta, has been speaking with Metro News.
We are almost set. You know, would have been set but for the issue of change of venue, but for the issue of inclusion of some people, exclusion of some people, and that information came just last night. This is a big one elephant family. We cannot be fighting among ourselves. The most important thing is that, yes, it is competitive. Competition of ideas. Competition of what I can do, what somebody cannot do. Competition of the fact that I can make sure that the NPP breaks the 8. Preparations have been quite good. Very peaceful, very successful. We did our vetting for 2 intensive days, and then the 3rd day, which was Friday last week, took us to the point of final assessment on the qualification of the various aspects.
Now let's move to Parliament, and the Privileges Committee of Parliament has rescheduled the hearing of Dom Kwabinya's Member of Parliament to future dates. Now, Sarah Adjoa-Safo was scheduled to appear before the committee on Friday, May 27, that's tomorrow. Ranking member of the committee, Kweku Ricketts-Hagan, says the committee will need an extension of its 2 weeks deadline to be to be given by the Speaker. And so they have sought for that. Let's hear what he said.
Activities, on the day suggested, certain happenings. So it wasn't unproductive. We met with him. We were a bit late in meeting him. As I said, I was the first person to be there. But the first deputy speaker, who was the chairman, was with the speaker, agreeing on times of sitting, between the two of them. As I said, the other one is not around. So when we met up with him, he's also planned that if he was meeting at 11 or 12, he's got some ministerial work to do at 2 o'clock. And then also we'll be traveling. So then we had a meeting, but it was a brief meeting. It wasn't that the meeting didn't happen. Well, it could possibly mean that the 2 weeks given to us, we might need to get an extension from the speaker. So we are hoping that, with a good reason, Speaker might be able to grant that request. But, you said we have a tight schedule given to us by the Speaker. If the Speaker extends it, it will be it will not be a tight schedule, it will be a loose schedule. Yes. But what I did say is that we have communicated to the 3 honorable members, concerned or in question, and that we had heard back from Honorable Kennedy Japan, who had come in to request for his time to be changed because he's got a medical review. And that is the reason why the proposed timetable that we have, he is the last person to be seen because he had given us his availability, and that obviously that would be the time to work for him. I didn't actually, at that time when we were speaking, I remember we cited Honorable Henry Korte around the premises, and I said, well, Honorable Henry Korte is there. But I never made a comment on Honorable Adjo Safo as to whether.
So Dom Kwabena, Member of Parliament, Sarah Adjo Safo, has disclosed that she has not been served any notice to appear before Parliament's Privileges Committee. She's been speaking with some colleagues within the media terrain. We're trying to reach the ranking member of the committee for some questions as and when he actually speaks. We'll speak to him on that development. A Member of Parliament for Alban, Speaker of Parliament Alban Babin has directed the Minister of Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta, to appear before the House to account for all COVID-19 related expenditure. According to him, Parliament will not approve a €75 million loan until the Finance Minister lifts the lid on previous COVID-19 funds. There is more in the following report.
The minority in Parliament had since the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic demanded accountability from government. They claim monies generated internally and some donor funds have been misused by the Kufuor-led administration. In the House of Legislature on May 26, the chairman of the Finance Committee moved a motion for the House to approve a €75 million loan by the European Investment Bank for COVID-19 Health Response Ghana project. This was vehemently opposed by the minority, saying although the loan facility is cheap, they are against it due to Ghana's ballooning public debt. They are, however, urging government to find other avenues to rake in revenue.
So, Speaker, today our debt levels are increasing. The central bank since last Monday announced to all of us that Ghana's nominal debt is 391 billion Ghana cedis. So, Speaker, this amount excludes the Sino-Hydro loan. This amount excludes the Get Fund Dachi bond. So, Speaker, this amount excludes what we call the energy sector levies bond. So, Speaker, if you are to add all of them, our debt is 409 billion Ghana cedis. So, Speaker, I won't be surprised. The rate at which we are going will end the year 2022 with a public debt almost about 90% of our GDP. So, Speaker, we are in difficult times. This government must immediately place moratorium on new loans.
This motion to approve a sum of €75 million for nothing but COVID relief, COVID-19 expenses, Mr. Speaker, It is far too fetched, and I believe that those of us on this side will not approve this law. Mr. Speaker, why won't we approve this law, Mr. Speaker? We all know that even the president has asked that we should not wear our masks. The president has given us full, immunity against COVID. We are walking around. There's no COVID in this country for this government to borrow so much as 75 million euros just for top.
The Speaker of Parliament thus directed the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, to appear before the House to account for all COVID-19 related expenses made by government.
From the interventions of members, I see that there is the unwillingness of members to go with the committee until the monies that have been expended on COVID-19 are accounted for. In principle, from the contributions, members are not against getting such as described by the ranking member for the committee, cheap money. But first, account for what has been given to you before we go ahead to even approve the cheap money.
The Speaker says Parliament will be forced to frustrate government business if the account is not rendered in earnest.
So still staying with Parliament, Speaker of Parliament Alban Baben has lamented the dire financial constraints Parliament is currently facing. According to him, the House has yet to receive any funding from the Finance Ministry since the beginning of the year.
That even us at this time, we don't have any releases from the Ministry of Finance for us to run Parliament. So we'll be running Parliament on some areas of last year. It's not easy. And so sometimes you see your request for me to approve for you to do some things are declined. It's not because I love declining your request. It's because we don't have the wherewithal to fund those operations. And I think the Minister of Finance should not treat Parliament like a ministry or MDA. I will emphasize this again. This is an arm of government. We are not part of the MMDAs. We have even been written to reduce our budget in some areas by 50%. Yes. And so if they want Parliament to run aground, they should let us know. The Speaker is not ready and prepared to be blamed for inability to get Parliament going on just because we are not getting the necessary funding. Others may have some hesitation in saying that I don't have. Yes. Majority Chief Whip. Yes.
Now away from Parliament, the Minister for Education, Dr. Yao Educhim, has strongly refuted claims of embezzlement of $1.2 million meant for training 40,000 teachers across the country. The minister said the money from the World Bank is sitting in the accounts of the Education Ministry.
The Ministry of Education, that is the implementation agency for that component of the funding, embarked on the project of training 40,000 teachers. Platform was created. On that platform, teachers went there and they did the training. At the time that the project was about to come to an end, we had trained over 41,000 teachers. The World Bank then asked the development partners in Ghana to form a consortium and verify if the ministry has really done the work so that they can release the 1.2 million. The development partners then came, looked at the platform, verified the list of people on the platform, and came to the conclusion that the work has been done. They sent me a letter congratulating me for having met the benchmark that they set for us, and therefore wrote to the World Bank to release the 1.2 million so that we can use the 1.2 million to embark of the project that will improve teaching and learning in the Gallup schools. As I speak with you, the amount is sitting in our account, ready to be used for its intended purpose. buying furniture, buying teaching and learning materials, ensuring that in Gallup schools, everything that they need can be done using the 1.2 million. So if anybody is saying anything, all that I want to tell you is that the money was not intended for training. The training was to be supported by us. And once we can show that we have a skin in the game, that we are committed to the transformation of education in Gallup schools, then they will release the money, and that is what they have done. The good news is that the money is sitting in our account as I speak with you today.
Well, that must be good news then. The money still sits in the account. You're watching Newsnight here on Metro TV. It's time for us to take a breather. Welcome back to Newsnight. There's some more stories. The Supreme Court has directed the Attorney General Godfred Yeboah-Dame a 14-day ultimatum to present his pleadings on the electronic levy suit brought before it. This comes after counsel from the court to give him some time to file a statement to the case.
When the case was called, it was the prayer of the representing counsel from the Office of the Attorney General, Cynthia Courtey, that the court grant them some time to allow them file the statement of response to the suit. Though expected of every proceeding that the opposing lawyer will object submissions from his opponent, this application was not objected by counsel for the plaintiffs, Haruna Idrisu, Mahama Yariga, and Samuel Okujetua-Blakwa. To the lawyer, Godwin Tamaklo, his clients and himself will not let down their zeal in their quest. Having heard this, the justice on the case, Justice Clement Onyenuga, granted the plea to allow for time to file a statement has been granted, and that is expected to be done within 14 days. It will be recalled earlier this month that the court, through a unanimous decision, dismissed an application by the 3 MPs for an injunction in the collection of the electronic levy.
Now, an application for a stay of proceeding by the James Gyakye has been dismissed by the appeals court. It was the ruling of the court that the injuncted member of parliament has failed to exhibit any circumstances that will warrant such application.
It was the prayer of the lawyers for the injuncted member of parliament, James Gyakye, that the Court of Appeal stays the criminal trial at the Accra High Court. The lead counsel, Chachun Chikata, in his submission told the court the charges brought against the embattled member of parliament did not raise any constitutional matters requiring interpretation. To him, concerns regarding 3 of the 5 criminal charges that are knowingly making a false statutory declaration, perjury and false declaration for office, which he argued will require Supreme Court interpretation. However, the principal state attorney told the court that not all the charges brought against the embattled member of parliament raised any constitutional matters requiring interpretation. In his ruling, the judge, Henry Anthony Kofi, explained the embattled James Gyakye failed to persuade in demonstrating that there were some exceptional circumstances warranting the stay of the criminal trial. It is the hope of the injuncted member of parliament for Asin North that the ruling of the Cape Coast High Court on the matter of his dual citizenship will be overturned, since he denounced his citizenship to Canada days before filing his nomination to contest in the 2020 parliamentary election.
The Special Prosecutor Kisia Jabing has begun investigations into alleged unlawful acquisition of state lands at the Achimota Forest and the Ramsar site. Meanwhile, at the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, the Minister, Samuel Abu-Jinapor, has also requested all documents of transactions of the Achimota Forest Reserve since 1930. There is more in the following reports.
In this release, the Special Prosecutor, Kisi Ijabeng, says he's begun investigations into the suspected corruption and corruption-related offense in respect of the alleged unlawful and improper acquisition of state lands at the Achimota Forest Enclave and Ramsar Catchment at Sakumono, Accra. This is to probe deeper into the actions of the former Chief Executive Officer of the Forestry Commission, the late Kwejo Owusu-Efie, alias Sir John, now deceased, and other deceased. The Land and Natural Resources Minister, on the other hand, is also investigating the saga. It has directed that all information indicating the transactions affecting the 1,185 acres of land acquired by the state in 1972 and constituted forest reserve in 1930 under the name Achimota Firewood Plantation Forest Reserve be brought to the ministry. Also, in a separate address to the Ni Owu royal family, the minister has asked the family to submit to his office all sublease and assignment granted by the family to any person. The minister has assured of his uttermost commitment to dealing with the matter to the core and all other matters affecting the lands and natural resources of the country with the highest standard.
Meanwhile, the Ni Odoi family of Osu is contesting ownership of the Achimota forest. According to the family head, the Owu family does not exist, and therefore transferring portions of the Achimota forest to them is only a way of allocating parts of the reserve to a cabal.
They return the land to the Osu people so that we will go and live in the forest as animals, or we should buy animals from Dubai to go and rear them in the forest, or what? What is the rationale of returning the land? We are impoverished. And so if we have land and government doesn't have use of it or want to return it to us, it should be in the form of compensation, but not the real land. So there is something behind it. Ni Owu himself, Ni William Owu, the original Owu, died in 1867. This acquisition was made in 1921. It was advertised in 1919. The Owu, original Owu, he died without a child. So he has no children of his own. But it is during the acquisition that his sister's children manufactured the family, the Owu family, and came to do the claim. But you see, the subject matter is that we, the New Odwekwa family, we are saying that the Owu family purported to be the family that the land is being returned to does not exist. It is a cabal. It is a means to share the land because an Owu family doesn't exist. If the land had to be returned to, it should be returned to the Osu people. Because we want the claim. We want our claim. Owu didn't have anything. So they have to return it to the Osu people. But ask yourself, the place is a forest reserve. If I tell you that that land had been shared already and that it will not be used for forest, but people will use it for their own whatever interest, not in the interest of a forest.
But you believe it has been shared already?
Oh, yes.
New revelations about the Achimota forest almost on a daily basis. We're still following through and bringing all the angles of the developments. General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, Thomas Tanko Musa, has decried the role poverty plays in the derailing efforts being made to end the terrorism threat against the country. Speaking at the meeting between the Teachers Association and National Security, Thomas Musa said terrorists are only able to recruit Ghanaian citizens because of the poverty and lack of development in parts of the country.
The Ministry of National Security on May 24 launched a citizen awareness campaign dubbed See Something, Say Something as part of effort to battle the growing threat of terrorism facing the country. The campaign, among other things, implores the citizenry to be highly alert and to report suspicious characters within their communities. The National Security Ministry therefore called on the Ghana National Association of Teachers to help in the education campaign. General Secretary of the association, Thomas Tanko Musa, who welcomed the ministry, said government must improve the livelihood of Ghanaians in deprived communities to prevent them from being swayed into terrorist activities.
It's a scripture in the Bible says that don't let me become poor so that I'll be tempted. So temptation is everywhere. Even in the Lord's Prayer, we say that lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Temptation is always with us and evil is always present. And the only way that we can help get our children protected is by providing them the basic necessities of life, particularly in underserved communities. I believe that they should be provided, because if you don't do it and an individual comes in to provide these things for them, certainly that particular individual can end up indoctrinating them, and whatever the person tells them, they will end up doing it, and that will not be safe for us.
On his part, the National Security Coordinator, Ambassador Major General Edu Amamfo, decried the recent spate of terrorism in the ECOWAS sub-region and emphasized the need to join forces aimed at combating the imminent terrorism threat.
Since 2017, Ghana's national and regional security imperatives have changed, particularly in view of the surge in terrorism, activities of armed groups, violent extremism, cybercrime, transnational organized crime, piracy at sea, and the seeming resurgence of coup d'etats in our sub-region, the ECOWAS sub-region, particularly in the Francophone countries. We are all witnesses to what has recently happened in Guinea, what has happened in Mali, what has happened in Burkina Faso. And as I speak, we feel that Niger is also at risk.
He said teachers are responsible for shaping the growth of the country, and hence the need to include them in the citizen awareness campaign.
All right, you're also watching News Nights with me, Ania Fompofu. We'll take another breather. We'll be back with more. Welcome back to News Nights. Now it's time for us to take some business updates. Now, in business, the resilience of African economies is critical now more than ever. Hence, the need to empower the African Development Bank to be well positioned to finance development in Africa. These were the views of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo when he met delegation from the African Development Bank at the Jubilee House on Thursday.
The African Development Bank has approved a $1.5 billion emergency agricultural production support fund to avert the looming food crisis on the continent. The bank is scaling up financing to help low-income countries stay afloat. Executive directors of the African Development Bank met President Akufo-Addo at the Jubilee House on Thursday. Assistant Secretary of the International Trade and Development at the U.S. Department of Treasury spoke for members of the delegation.
And so working on the $100 billion to be channeled in a first instance through IMF trust funds. So I think you're quite familiar with that agenda. As you may know, we've been having some challenges with our Congress to get the authorization for this. It is a top priority for U.S. Treasury, and we've been working on it. We haven't been successful yet, but we're still working hard on it. At this point, our political attention is in trying to get the authorization for the IMF trust funds. So that needs to be our top priority. And I think trying to open up new uses would actually, we don't have the political scope for that at this stage. This being said, if there are proposals from the African Development Bank, from other MDBs, about ideas to channel SDRs through the MDBs, we are open to them and we would welcome seeing proposals.
President Akufo-Addo again stressed the need to empower the African Development Bank.
All things being equal, the African Development Bank should be the first institution for multilateral financing in Africa. We have no problem with the World Bank or the IMF, but all things being equal, that should be the emphasis.
He urged the bank to continue to work in Africa's interest.
The need for resilience of the African economies is now absolutely critical. I don't think global stability or security is going to be enhanced by hundreds of millions of Africans falling into desperation and dire straits of poverty. It will not inure to a secure. Well, at the end of the day, we all have to inhabit this planet in an equitable and I'm not so sure even though the word is equitable, but certainly in an equitable manner where we can live here together in peace and solidarity and friendship. And that is not going to be possible if you have a whole lot of people who are very hungry, don't have any prospects and hopes, and they see across the street others who are well placed and are doing well, etc. So in that whole, in this development, I think that the place of the African Development Bank could be really critical.
Now, tax expert Dr. Abdallah Ali Nachia has encouraged accountants to embrace all the use of blockchain in the line of work. The tax expert was speaking during the Accountability Week by the Institute of Accountancy, Ghana.
2022 Accountants Week is on the theme Accountancy and Accountability, Transforming Africa's Economies. The conference brought together members of the Institute of Chartered Accountancy Ghana across the country to deliberate on pertinent issues relating to the profession. Tax expert Dr. Abdallah Ali Nachia called on accountants to adopt blockchain technology.
Blockchain has already earned a reputation for its potential in supply chain optimization, but it has powerful accounting potential too. Accounting professionals who understand and can use and teach others about blockchain, distributed ledger technologies will be in high demand for process development, auditing, records management, and more. Tomorrow's accountant should be more relevant, strategic, and creative than ever if we need to transform our economies in Africa. Both the skill set and the job description for tomorrow's accountant will be greatly expanded, while still hewing to the core competencies of the profession. Supported by technology in a collaborative setting, accounting teams will be populated both dedicated accounting professionals and subject matter experts from other areas of business.
President of the Institute, Professor Williams Atuilik, called on its members to leverage on new technologies in their line of work.
Many of the rest of African countries have remained poor and retrogressive as a result of bad governance, which essentially is the absence of accountability and the prevalence of corruption, which in plain language is looting and theft in an industrial scale. How do we ensure as a profession that we maintain professional standards in all the places where we are the gatekeepers and the custodian of finances and other resources, and ensure ethical compliance as an antidote to reducing, if not eliminating, corruption, which is the biggest, one of the biggest obstacles to progress in Africa.
On Friday, members are expected to vote during an annual general meeting to elect new council members who provide policy direction and steer the affairs of the association for the next 2 years.
That's all for business news this evening. It's time for sports after this.
Welcome back. My name is Phil John Quarty, and it's time for sports. The technical handlers of the senior national team, the Black Stars, have released a 33-man squad for the AFCON qualifiers match, which include 2 local players. Ex-Ghanaian international Yaw Prekun has welcomed the call-up.
He's a new coach, and he feel like this is what, and mind you, Otto is,
he's never in town. He has never watched the league matches. And so definitely those the scouts here, the report they gave him is what he used to call those two local base play. I don't have a problem. Very, very serious. From now till the World Cup, every game taken very, very, very serious because we saw what happened in the AFCON. There's no minor club country anymore in African football. Madagascar, the Central Republic. We have to use them to prepare for the World Cup, and I believe, like I said, football is growing in Africa. You know, this preparation and these matches to prepare ourselves for the World Cup. So, if you want to prepare for the World Cup, for the World Cup, these are the matches that you have to take it very, very serious.
That's your sports. My name is Phil John Quarty. Studio is standing by for the latest in showbiz.
Thank you, Phil, for the updates in sports. It's time for entertainment news. My name is Asiodua Akumia. 2022 Vodafone Ghana Music Awards Artist of the Year Kiddy, originally known as Dennis Nana Dramana, has disclosed the main musical instrument that contributes to him making great music. He said this on its Go to 11 interview on Recording Academy Grammys platform.
Been the beginning of my creative process. Any song I ever make, no matter the tempo, no matter the rhythm, no matter how it sounds like, it always begins with the keyboard. It gives me the chance to make every song into a soul song before I put it on a beat. So my first keyboard I ever got, I think I was in high school. I remember I got the keyboard as a present. It was like a second-hand keyboard. For the longest time, I didn't have a power cable for it. I went into the house, every single thing that had a power cable, I'd come and try it on the keyboard, and it never worked. Finally got a power cable, it had to use a different voltage. I had to go get me a step down. Listen, I suffered to get that keyboard to finally come on. I got to know the keyboard. I was like, hi keyboard, nice to meet you. I'm gonna name you Chloe. So Chloe is your name. We had like a little date to me and the keyboard all night, all night long. When I'm creating, right, I'm always like in a trance. Depends on what I'm talking about. So if I'm probably talking about a woman, I just like to imagine that like the woman is right in front of me, like I'm speaking to her. If I'm talking about love, I just like to imagine myself in love. So I always like get lost in the music. Kiddy and the music becomes one. That's how I get to let my emotions, you know, speak through the music. So that's how I feel.
Well, that's it for entertainment news. My name is Asiodua Akumia. Annie?
Yes, Asiodua, thank you so much for the update there.